Bonjour tout le monde, c'est moi Charlotte et aujourd'hui nous allons regarder et étudier un poème qui s'appelle Chanson d'automne qui a été écrit par Paul Verlaine. On va regarder le poème en français et puis je vais le traduire en anglais. Ok? On va regarder les aspects linguistiques du poème et on va en parler un peu des images qu'on trouve là-dedans. So everyone, we're going to look at the French poem, Chanson d'automne, and then we'll translate it. It won't necessarily be the same translation as the English one that you'll find at the article on Wikipedia, from which I have taken the English translation here. So I've literally sort of taken and dropped it in there. So it won't necessarily be exactly the same word for word, but you'll get the idea. And anyone who's part of my club will be able to look side by side at the French original and the English translation. So je vais commencer en lisant. Okay, I'm going to start by reading it. Chanson d'automne. Les sanglots longs des violons de l'automne blessent mon cœur d'une langueur monotone, tout suffocant et blême. Quand sonne l'heure, je me souviens des jours anciens, et je pleure, je m'en vais au vent mauvais qui m'emporte de ça, de là, pareil à la feuille morte. Okay, so let's start with this bit up here. So chanson is a feminine noun, it means song. Chanson, la chanson, we normally have the article la in front of it. D'automne means autumn, it's the month, it's a season. Sorry, it's not the month, it's a season. It is a noun. And the de apostrophe is short for de, which is a preposition. It just means of, or it kind of helps to modify the noun chanson. Les sanglots longs, les sanglots, long sobs, les sanglots. Pleurer is a verb that we have later, it means to cry. But sanglot is sobbing, okay? So long is just the adjective, plural, because it agrees with les sanglots. Les sanglots longs des violons. So les violons, des violons de l'automne. So the long sobs, des violons is of violins, de l'automne, of autumn. Now I would translate that as the long sobs of autumn's violins, but of the violins of autumn could work quite well as well in English. Blesse mon cœur. So blesser is a verb to injure or to hurt. Mon cœur is my heart. It's a masculine noun. Hence it's preceded by mon cœur. Okay? Because the possessive adjective mon agrees with the gender and the number of the noun that follows it. So, les sanglots longs des violons de l'automne blessent mon cœur d'une langueur monotone. Now, an interesting thing that I read in, I think it was the article that's listed here, the Wikipedia article about this poem, is the onomatopoeia. That's when the sounds of the words that are written in a poem mimic or reproduce aspects of the precise sound, even in some instances, of whatever's being described. So, for example, pring pring would be the sound of, say, a telephone, or ding dong is like the sound of a bell ringing. But here we've got the repetition of like S's and kind of O sounds, les sanglots longs des violons de l'automne. There's all these kind of vowel sounds which are quite similar, which sound similar to the long sobs of autumn's violins. So those long sobs of autumn's violins, bless mon cœur, hurt or injure my heart, d'une langueur, or wound my heart is in the translation, that's nice, it's more poetic. D'une langueur monotone. So here in the French we have d'une langueur monotone. By the way, I'm on a squeaky chair. Okay, squeaky chair, squeaky floorboard. Sorry about that if you hear that. That's what those noises are. Squeaks and cracks and creaks and stuff. So, d'une langueur monotone. So, if you look at the French here, what we've got, I'm not even sure if you can see that. We can't necessarily always keep and translate across the exact structure of the original poem or song, actually, into the target language, i.e. the translation here in English for us to understand. So sometimes you have to move around the words. So here, for example, we've got a line that says, wounds my heart with a monotonous languor, dreaminess, I'd say, or kind of like, what's the word? Sluggishness, slowness. Okay, so there's two senses of the words here. We could talk about something that's dreamy, or we could talk about something that's slow, right? He's just spoken about the long sobs of violins of autumn wound my heart with a monotonous languor, or listlessness, dreaminess. I'd say there's a sense of both dreaminess and slowness, sluggishness, interesting. I mean, that could be open to interpretation. So, monotone, d'une langueur monotone, sort of swaps places. So instead of langueur coming first and then monotone coming second, in the English translation it would be with a monotonous first, languor, okay? So that's just an interesting thing with translation. Sometimes you have to move the words around and change the structure. So it might not look exactly, it might not be, the words might not be positioned on the same line or in the same position on the line as in the original, for example. So, tout suffocant, all breathless or all stifling. Suffocant is an adjective that means suffocating or stifling, something that prevents you from breathing. Tout means all, so suffocating. Blême means pale. However, in like kind of informal French, blême is a problem because it's short for problème. So if ever you hear someone saying c'est quoi le blême, it means what's the problem? C'est quoi le blême? But that's a different thing, okay? Speaking again. So, but here, blême is an adjective that means pale, right? So, more suffocating, pale. Quand semble l'heure, all suffocating and pale. When, quand means when. Son comes from the verb sonner, which means to sound or to ring or to, like if the hour on the clock, which is l'heure, is the time. When the time rings, like the time bell sounds, or the bell will toll. So this is to do with like the time being told, basically, being announced, or ringing, or sounding. Okay, sonner is most like to sound, I guess, and it's often used with like kind of bells or like instruments, something that needs to be rung. Je me souviens, that means I remember, that's reflexive. Se souvenir means to remember. Je me souviens des jours anciens. And I remember des jours anciens, former days, old days. The old days is what they've said in the translation here. Et je pleure. Et je m'en vais. I cry. And I go off. S'en aller means to go off. Aller on its own, which would mean to go. But the verb s'en aller is like kind of a pronominal verb, basically. A certain type of form. And you use it, for example, like here, je and me vais would be like s'en aller has two things that precede the verb. So vais comes from the verb aller. It's conjugated like je vais, I am going or I go. But instead of je vais, we've got je me en vais. So we've got an M apostrophe, which is like a bit like the reflexive here, je me. But instead of it saying je me, we've then got this en sort of thing. Participle. I don't know what we'd call it. Je me en vais. This is another part of the verb. So s'en aller, which looks like this. I don't know if it's just called a pronominal verb, s'en aller. It does have a pronoun here, so you use basically the reflexive, like the pronoun, same pronouns, me, tu, ce, vous, nous, and ce, in front of these, the conjugated form of that verb, depending on whatever tense it's in. So here, vais is in the present tense. We've got je, which means I, and then the pronoun, which links to I, if you like, or you use with conjugations of verbs that are reflexive or have a pronominal verb pronoun before them. You use me, so je me, but because of this en here, the me bit is reduced down to m with an apostrophe, and then this en is put here. So je m'en, and then we've got the verb aller, so we put the verb aller in the present tense, vais. So s'en aller means to go or to go off. I'm off. Right, I'm off. Je m'en vais. So je m'en vais is like I'm off or I go off. Okay, I'm off would be like if there was not if you're just making a declaration, like exclaiming, right, I'm going, I'm off I go, kind of thing. I go off is slightly different because it means, oh, I'm going off. Okay, so let's have a look. So we've got two. Les sanglots longs des violons de l'automne. So the long sobs of violins of autumn wound my heart, bless mon cœur de langueur monotone. Wound my heart with monotonous languor. Tout suffocant et blême, all stifling, suffocating and pale when the time sounds. Quand sonne l'heure. Je me souviens, I remember, des jours anciens, I remember the old days. Et je pleure, and I cry. Et je m'en vais, and I go off, and I go. I leave, basically. Au vent mauvais, into the... Mauvais means bad, normally, or it could mean ill. So here the translation says, into the ill wind. I don't know about that, really. Let's look at mauvais, seeing as we've got on my tablet thing, I've got word reference here. So if I type in mauvais, it'll look a bit like this, and then we've got all these different translations. So if you're doing a translation specifically, or you just want to know what one word could mean, because there's loads of different translations for some words sometimes, and this is a good example. Mauvais, yeah, bad, unpleasant, terrible. Right, okay, so if we're talking about, the weather, mauvais, that's a really good point actually. So talking about il fait mauvais temps, like the weather's bad. So the weather's not nice, it's awful weather, it's terrible weather. So if we're talking, or gloomy even, terrible, bad, gloomy, awful, any of those things could be used in English to describe the weather. So let's see, so that's the wind, the ill wind. It's not too bad a translation, but the bad wind basically. I go off into the bad wind. Qui m'emporte, which emporter is to carry or to, that's nice, like to bring someone somewhere. It could be carry. De ça, de là, pareil à la feuille morte. De ça, de là. So here and there, I think that is all over the place. De ça. Now this is like an old-fashioned kind of expression. Every which way, here and there. Okay. Yeah, here and there. So carries you about. So emporter, we're going to say it is to carry, to take away. Okay, there you go. Like something that you take away from, like food that you take away. Emporter means to take off, take away with you. De ça, de là. So here and there, or all over the place. Pareil à la feuille morte. Pareil means the same as, like basically, but just there's a sense of it being the same. Pareil à la feuille morte. So the whole point of me choosing this is because it's the autumn now, and I put an image at the top here on the handout of a tree with its losing its leaves. So la feuille morte is a dead or the dead leaf. So a leaf that's dying. So I don't know how much more autumnal you can get, but that's how this poem finishes. So let's have a look back through the words, through the poem. So Song of Autumn it's called, remember. I'm going to read it on my sheet. Les sanglots longs des violons de l'automne blessent mon cœur d'une langueur monotone, tout suffocant et blême. Quand sonne l'heure, je me souviens des jours anciens, et je pleure. Je m'en vais, vent mauvais, qui m'emporte de ça, de là, pareil à la feuille morte. So we've got some rhyming there. So let's look. Long, violent, l'automne, cœur, langueur, le temps, monotone. We've got heure and heure and pleur. Souviens, ancien. Je m'en vais, mauvais. There might be some other ones that I'm missing. Emporte and feuille morte. So we do have some rhyming patterns here. So just trying to think, we've got some sort of, there's lots of sensuous, is that the right word? Words that appeal to the senses, which I think is precisely what autumn does. So we've got the sobs of the violins of autumn, so that's the sort of sound and the movement of autumn which wounds someone's heart, so it has an effect on the body. There's also a sense of it kind of having an effect on emotions too, with a monotonous languor, monotonous, dreamy, something monotone. It's a sense of sound and movement in that same monotonous languor. It's slow, things are slowing down. Okay, there's a sense of, this appeals to the senses and sort of how the senses affect the body and the heart and the mind. Suffocating, that has an effect on the body. Blême, pale, so things are losing their colour, although they're gaining colour in a way, but things are getting slowly ready for the winter. When the when the time rings, so that time is announced or rings or sounds out, so it's appealing to the senses of the ears. Je me souviens, back to the mind, des jours anciens. They're talking about memories here, old days. Je pleure. Je m'en vais au vent mauvais. So we're talking about going off into the weather now, going into the outside, where the weather's starting to get worse. Le vent mauvais qui m'emporte. De ça, de là. The wind which takes me here and there. Well, it could physically take you somewhere, doesn't it? Because the wind pushes against your body or against your things, objects. Paille à la feuille morte. La feuille morte. Morte is a feminine adjective, or it's the feminine form of the adjective dead, which agrees with la feuille, which is the leaf. Interestingly, in feuille de papier, sheet of paper, and feuille could be like a note or a sheet or something thin, or it could just be like a leaf. Okay, like even be the page of a book, a sheet. So the same as a dead leaf, so there's a sense of something dying, but there's also a sense of something floating and being at the behest of the wind. So I like that poem for all of those types of imagery, and also it's one of my favourite seasons. You can start wearing warm clothes, getting cosy, all that kind of stuff. So there's a lovely irregular rhyming pattern, I'd say, there, but there are rhymes. So let's refresh our memory with what the main verbs are. Blesse, that's the third person plural, and it agrees with des violons de l'automne, the violins of autumn. Blesse. It ends with ENT at the end, but we don't pronounce it blesson, it's blesse. Okay, that's the il, elle plural form. So it's the verb blesser, and that means to wound or to injure or to hurt. S'en aller, we looked at, that means to go off. Pleurer. Pleurer. I was just thinking to myself then, pleurer is a bit like the verb pleuvoir. Pleuvoir, which is to rain. But pleurer, like when you say il pleut, il pleut, it's raining. That's probably why people think the verb pleurer sounds like to rain. Pleurer, to cry. Let me just check. Pleuvoir, I think it's Plevoir. Rain. Yeah, okay. So then I just looked at word reference there, because pleurer and pleuvoir sound similar. They must be linked because rain and tears or crying is to do with water falling. So there must be something in it there. Pleuvoir and pleurer. Anyway, pleurer is to cry, so it's an ER verb. Then we had sonner, to do with le son, so to do with sound. Sonne is the third person singular when the hour or the time rings or sounds. Let's just see if there's another way of putting that. Sonner, to ring, to sound or to strike. Yeah, something would need to be knocked for that to make a sound. It requires, even this to sound requires some movement. Okay. In fact, the translation is all breathless and pale when the hour sounds. All breathless and pale when the hour sounds. I remember the old, aha! And there's a, I see. So I've overlooked that there. So the main point here is that is there a full stop? Oh, okay, so this is very important. So often in poems, there isn't much punctuation, but the main thing here, which I've kind of overlooked a bit until I'm looking at the translation, is this point. So full stop after monotone. So the bit that says tout suffocant et blême connaissant l'heure, comma, all breathless, all stifled and pale when the time sounds, when the hour sounds. Je me souviens des jours anciens. So I remember the old days. Et je pleure. Et je m'en vais. Au vent mauvais. So the main point there is that here, I wasn't sure, it wasn't obvious in the first instance that tout suffocant et blême refers to the person who's writing the poem, all suffocated or all suffered, breathless, or if you like, and pale. I remember. So it's describing him or her. It is him, Paul Verlaine. Pardon. But yes, so let me read the English translation. The long sobs of violins of autumn wound my heart with monotonous languor, all breathless and pale when the hour sounds. I remember the old days and cry, and I go in the ill wind that carries me here and there like the dead leaf. So, sonner, the point was, sonner means to ring or to sound. Emporter is to like carry away or to take away with you. Okay, but simply here we're just used to carry. So I'm going to leave it there and I'll post this video. Let me know if you have any preferences when it comes to French poets or French music even, and I would be very happy to look at a poem or a certain part of a poem or a song, or to look at a piece of text or some images or something online about the poet or the artist or the musician or the band that you've mentioned. So do give me some ideas for club content, because I'd really like to meet the needs of the people who are watching this and studying French, and B, expand my own understanding of culture for France or French speaking countries. So please do send suggestions for things for club content, and I'll try and take a good look at them so that you can learn something useful from the language. So I'm hoping to be doing an English language club soon, which was the plan quite a few years ago. Other things happened, which means it hasn't come into being yet. However, if you're a French person looking at these videos, or someone from a different country, and you're interested in studying English with an English, a British native teacher with lots of experience, then please let me know. Send me a comment under any of my videos. Leave me a comment, or you can go onto my website, find out my contact details and get in touch. At the moment, my situation is that I'm not based in my normal home, and that's been the case for nearly a year now, so I'm not in my own office. I'm kind of living in temporary accommodation. But when things are settled and my schedules, when I've got more time, I'll be able to respond to your emails quicker. So please bear with me, things have been quite turbulent, but they're settling down now. So just bear in mind, there is a good reason why I'm not able to get back to people quickly. Not all the time, but we're getting there. Okay, So if you're interested in any of my language clubs, my French, my Italian, or my New English club to come, please don't hesitate to get in touch. And I hope you enjoyed that poem. Merci beaucoup. Bonne journée et à la prochaine fois.